So, I've been getting a lot of questions lately about operating systems outside of the usual Windows and macOS debate, and that usually leads to one place, the massive open source world of Linux. So today, we're diving into the world of Linux and exploring some of the most popular distributions out there. Now, if you're not familiar, a distro is basically a specific version of Linux, packaged with its own set of software, a particular look and feel, and a unique philosophy behind it. It's like choosing a different flavor of the same core ingredient, and that choice is what makes Linux so powerful and interesting. The thing about Linux is that it's everywhere, even if you don't realize it. It powers the vast majority of the internet's servers. It's the foundation for Android on your smartphone, and it runs everything from smart home devices to the world's most powerful supercomputers. This isn't just some niche OS for hackers and hoodies. It's a robust, secure, and incredibly versatile platform. The beauty of it is the sheer amount of choice you have. You can find a Linux distro that's super simple and designed for beginners, or one that gives you complete, granular control over every single aspect of your computer. For this video, we're going to walk through 5 of the big names in the Linux space. We'll look at what makes each one unique, who it's for, and what you can expect if you decide to give it a try. This isn't about declaring one the best, because the best distro is really the one that works best for you. It's more of a guided tour to help you understand the landscape and maybe find a starting point for your own journey into open source. So let's get into it. Alright, first up is the one you've probably heard of, even if you're not deep into the tech scene, Ubuntu. For a lot of people, Ubuntu is their first real introduction to the Linux world, and for good reason. It's built with a very clear focus on user-friendliness and accessibility. The goal from the beginning was to create a Linux distribution that just works right out of the box, minimizing the need to tinker in the command line just to get your Wi-Fi or printer connected. It's polished, it's clean, and it has a massive community behind it. This huge community is one of Ubuntu's biggest strengths. If you run into a problem, chances are someone else has already solved it and posted the solution online. The software support is also top-notch. The Ubuntu Software Center is basically an app store, making it incredibly simple to find and install popular applications like Spotify, Slack, and VS Code. They've put a ton of effort into making the transition from Windows or macOS as smooth as possible. It uses the GNOME desktop environment by default, which provides a modern, intuitive interface that feels familiar yet distinct. So who is Ubuntu for? Well, it's for just about anyone, really. It's the perfect starting point for Linux beginners who want a stable and easy-to-use system. It's also a solid choice for developers who need a reliable platform with great support for programming tools. And honestly, it's even great for seasoned users who just want a system that gets out of their way so they can get work done. It's the all-rounder, the default recommendation, and a fantastic gateway into the rest of the Linux ecosystem. It might not be the most customizable, but it's arguably the most practical for a daily driver. Next, let's talk about Fedora. If Ubuntu is the stable, reliable sedan, then Fedora is more like the forward-thinking concept car that's still perfectly street legal. Fedora is known for being on the cutting edge, often incorporating the latest and greatest software and technologies before many other distros do. It's sponsored by Red Hat, a major enterprise Linux company, and it serves as a sort of upstream, community-driven testing ground for technologies that might eventually make their way into Red Hat's enterprise products. This means you get a very modern and very polished experience. What you'll notice with Fedora is its commitment to open source principles. It ships with a very clean, almost pure version of the GNOME desktop, giving you an experience that's very close to what the GNOME developers intended. It also champions new technologies like the Wayland display server and the Pipewire audio server, aiming to push the Linux desktop forward. For a developer, this is huge. You get access to the latest kernel versions, updated programming libraries, and a system that feels incredibly responsive and modern. It's a glimpse into the future of the Linux desktop. So who's the target audience here? Fedora is fantastic for developers, system administrators, and tech enthusiasts who want the latest features without sacrificing stability entirely. It's not a bleeding-edge distro that's going to break all the time, but it's definitely more current than something like Ubuntu's long-term support release. If you're a developer who wants new tools as soon as they're ready, or you're just a user who gets excited about new technology and wants to see it in action, Fedora is a seriously compelling choice. It strikes a great balance between innovation and usability. Now let's move from the cutting edge to the bedrock. This is Debian. If you look at the family tree of Linux distributions, you'll find Debian at the root of a massive number of them, including the very popular Ubuntu that we just talked about. The reason for this is simple. Debian's primary focus is absolute, unwavering stability. The philosophy here isn't about having the newest features. It's about having a system that has been so thoroughly tested that you can trust it to run for years without a single issue. It is the definition of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When you install Debian stable branch, you're getting software packages that might be a bit older than what you'd find on Fedora, but they have been vetted by a massive community of developers and users for an extensive period. This makes it an incredibly reliable choice for servers, critical workstations, or any machine where uptime and predictability are more important than having the latest version of an app. This commitment to stability and its rigorous open-source social contract make it one of the most respected projects in the entire software world. So, who should use Debian? It's the go-to for system administrators running servers that need to be dependable above all else. It's also for users who value stability over novelty and want to set up their computer once and have it just work, without frequent major updates changing things. It's also a great choice for tinkerers who want to build a system from a minimal, super stable base. While it might require a little more initial setup than Ubuntu, its legendary stability is the reward. It's the silent, reliable workhorse of the Linux world. Alright, so we've covered the user-friendly, the cutting-edge, and the rock-solid. Now let's talk about the complete opposite of a pre-packaged experience: Arch Linux. The philosophy of Arch is all about simplicity and user-centricity, but not in the way you might think. Here, simplicity means a minimal base system with no unnecessary additions, and user-centricity means the user is in complete control of building their system from the ground up. The motto is, keep it simple, stupid, kiss, and it really takes that to heart. You start with nothing but a command line, and build your perfect OS piece by piece. The installation process itself is the first gatekeeper. There's no graphical installer. You follow a detailed guide on the Arch Wiki to partition your drives, install the base packages, and configure the system. While this sounds daunting, and it can be for a newcomer, it's also an incredible learning experience. You learn exactly what each component of a Linux system does, because you're the one putting it all together. The result is a system that is exactly what you want it to be, with no extra software or services running that you didn't explicitly choose to install. So, who is Arch for? This is for the advanced user, the tinkerer, the person who wants to understand the guts of their operating system. It's for the user who is frustrated by the choices other distros make for them and wants to make every single one of those choices themselves. It's also a rolling release distro, meaning you get the absolute latest software updates as soon as they're released. It requires more maintenance, but the reward is a highly personalized, efficient, and constantly up-to-date system. It's not a starting point, but for many, it's the ultimate destination. Finally, let's shift our focus from the desktop to the server room and talk about CentOS. For a long time, CentOS stood for Community Enterprise Operating System. It was essentially a free, community-supported version of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHL. This was huge. It meant that companies and individuals could develop and run software on an operating system that was functionally identical to the one used by major corporations, but without the expensive support subscription. It became the backbone for a massive portion of the web hosting industry and corporate IT infrastructure. The key appeal of CentOS has always been its stability and long-term support, inherited directly from RHEL. We're talking about a support lifecycle that can last up to a decade. This is critical in an enterprise environment where you can't be updating your core operating system every 6 months. You need a platform that is secure, predictable, and will be supported for a very, very long time. CentOS delivered that promise, providing a no-cost, incredibly stable platform for running critical business applications, databases, and web servers. Now, it's important to note the landscape has shifted recently with the introduction of CentOS Stream, which is now positioned slightly differently, more as a rolling preview of what's coming to RHL. However, alternatives like Rocky Linux and Alma Linux have risen to fill the original role of CentOS, providing that one-to-one bug-for-bug compatible version of RHL. So, who is this ecosystem for? It's for businesses, system administrators, and developers working in an enterprise context. It's for anyone who needs a server OS with a focus on long-term stability, security, and compatibility with the enterprise standard. So there you have it, a quick tour of 5 major players in the Linux universe. From the welcoming starting point of Ubuntu to the build-it-yourself world of Arch, and the enterprise-grade stability of the RHEL family, there's truly a flavor of Linux for every type of user and every possible use case. The key takeaway here isn't that one is definitively better than the others, but that this diversity and choice is the core strength of the open-source community. It's a world built on collaboration, freedom, and the power to make your computer truly your own. If any of these sounded interesting to you, I highly encourage you to give one a try. The best way to learn is by doing. You don't even have to wipe your main computer. You can use a tool like VirtualBox to install a distro inside a virtual machine on your current Windows or Mac system, or you can create a bootable USB stick to test it out live without changing anything on your hard drive. It's a risk-free way to explore and see what fits your workflow and your curiosity. You might just find your new favorite operating system. This was just a small slice of a massive world, and there are so many other amazing distributions out there like Linux Mint, Pop! OS, OpenSUSE, and many more. The journey is part of the fun, so I want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments which Linux distribution is your favorite. And if you're new to this, let us know which one you're thinking of trying out first. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.